Hello, everybody.
Afternoon.
Hi, Cheri.
Hello, hello. Glad to see you made it, Karen. All right, let's see. Do we have Cheri on here yet? No. Let me text her to see if she's hopping on. Okay. How's everybody doing?
Tired.
Oh, I feel that. I had to get up at like 3:30 to go to the airport, and then I was delayed, and I literally just walked in my house 2 minutes ago.
We had a monster move this week. Monster.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah.
moves are good. Monsters are good. The client's happy?
Yeah, client's very happy.
Good. Yay. But you're tired.
Very.
All
But
right.
I wanted to see this. That's why I'm on.
I
I
know.
want to
Get
hear it.
a little glimpse of what you're trying to get into going out there.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. She said she is hopping on. She just needs a minute. You guys, I have to share this just while we're waiting for her. For those of you that know Brandon Doyle and I, right? We last night we were talking and we came up together with this song and then he threw it into ChatGPT and like wrote a song. We just had a concept and then he had it write a song. And so then I threw it into some like music and it's all about like you ever have those staff members that just get so bogged down on the lotting process, right? Like they're just overthinking everything. Who's with me on that? Anybody have anybody like that on their team? All right, so that's what this song is. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to play it for you guys just while we're waiting for Cheri to get on, just because it is classic. Where is my link? Why is nothing working for me right now? Wait. Oh, hold on, it's on my text thread. Oh, Cheri, you are on. I just seen you. I'll play my song afterwards. I was gonna play it right now, but since you're on, let's get started. We're already a minute in. I feel like most of everybody's already here. So I'm going to share my screen. Cheri, you good to see it? Everybody can see my screen, the RIISE presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And Cheri, you are muted, FYI, if you want to unmute yourself. Okay. So this is Cheri Blankenship, everybody. She is from Caring Transitions of Houston Metro and Sugar Land. She was also at the summit last week and was our biggest grossing owner there. So she was the only one that hit $1 million that had went to the emerging owners summit. And she did it within 3 years, you guys, which is pretty phenomenal. I don't know if any owner has done it within the three mark. I feel like it's primarily been that fourth year where they're kind of hitting that. So I think it's pretty fantastic. And she does a lot of really great things. So we're just going to dive in, let her kind of go from start to finish on how she got to these seven figures in 3 years. So Cheri, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Cherie, for preparing this for us. So I think, so just for everybody, a little background. So I started in January of 2022 and launched by the end of the month. So February was probably my first full reporting month. And we started with Sugar Land, Texas. That is a southwest corner suburb of Houston. So an aging market, just like many other, markets out there. Um, we hired, grew, predominantly focused probably on a lot of estate sales and auctions. Not as many relocations probably in our first year. If I looked back, we just weren't really heavy in that area for whatever reason. The need was definitely apparent in the estate market. on the estate sales market, probably with the, we had lots of inventory, we had lots of homes being sold, lots of, we were just new to the market, and that's just kind of where we kind of found ourselves, our sweet spot. Then by the end of that year, I had an opportunity to go ahead and purchase the rights for an existing territory up in Houston, which is called Houston Metro. It's kind of like the central pockets or zip codes of Houston proper. And so I purchased that with a neighboring Caring Transitions owner, and we launched that and resurrected Houston Metro in 2023. And then about a year, a little bit, right about a year later, we felt that we were in a good position within our Sugarland business and the team we had built, that we took charge and offered a buyout, and we took full ownership, and that completed fall of 2024. Okay, so here are some numbers. And Cheri, you may want to chime in on what you would like everybody to see. But just our CT of Sugarland numbers really improved just from 2022 to 2023. What you're seeing here is you're seeing 2 territories in CT of Houston Metro. Now you see, well, let's see if we can go back.
All right, sorry, I'm going too fast.
Oh, sorry. So you see, we had a lot of growth in 2022 to 2023 just in CT of Sugarland. And then in 2023, we were really split between 2 territories. And I will tell you, the previous owner had, if you look, like very little bit of reporting in 2022. And they really had a focus on other things. Like she really just kind of held the rights to the territory. So we came in and, like I said, resurrected everything we did there that first year in Houston. Okay, Cheri, you coming back with it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought I had these ones not automated, but
So, I mean, I don't know if these are impressive numbers, but they are. I mean, I will say we created a great team. We were consistently busy. We did, we grew a really big buyer base, so I think that contributed to the increase in our sales. And we started adding in senior relocations, both in Sugarland and then we did that throughout 2023 in Houston. Then going into 2024 was more of, by the end of 2024, we really grew the team, did a few extra things to change our model, and you'll see that here in a minute. But consistently did everything with CT bids. We just did not navigate into any of the estate sale opportunities. We just felt everything we needed to be doing was focused on CT bids. So that was really our big game changer, was making sure that we were just consistent, making sure that we grew the buyers as much as we grew and networked and found our clients to support our senior services, I guess, segment.
I think the only thing I would point out over your numbers, just because you had called it out, was the growth that you had from when you guys took over Houston or Metro Houston at that point. That was like a 93% growth. And then when you combined the 2 territories for that next year, it was a massive, significant growth. And I know when we were talking last weekend, you were saying you had really focused heavily in that metro area and was driving a lot more business there and doing a lot more networking and stuff there. And I think that probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and I will say in Sugarland, just when you go into your 3rd year of business, I mean, I live in Sugarland. I live in that particular part of the city. I mean, I live in Missouri City, but it's all Southwest Houston. So, we actually developed our Sugarland base was pretty strong because we have developed a lot of relationships just in the community where we live. So Sugarland sales really grew just as much as the addition of the territory for Houston. But Sugarland became a pretty strong market for us and still is.
Yeah, agreed. All right, here we go.
So when we think about things that we did, and Cheri had me kind of think about, what was it where did we make our changes? As much as anybody can try, of course, if you can get into an affluent neighborhood or you have, nicer offerings in your auctions, that helps boost the buyer base. That also helps, people want to look at your auctions when you got some great stuff in there. So I think for us, in Houston, you have more fluent because you just have, you have a lot of oil and gas people that have moved and maybe started their careers. And Houston's known for oil and gas. So you have a lot of, you have some pretty nice neighborhoods. Now, that doesn't mean that we worked in all of them, just means that we had an opportunity to try to network with some of the referral partners that do service those communities. We also focused on relocations. Relocations in Houston specifically are more of a high-rise type property because property is not the same. Senior living just looks different in the city than it does down in the outskirts or down here in the suburbs. So you have a lot more opportunity for relocations, which we focused on. We would go to networking events, and we sometimes those networking events in Houston actually included realtors because the possibilities of people who could go to those networking events were a little greater than some of the networking events we went to out in Sugar Land. Um, and then, this necessarily isn't a big shift when it comes to high end, but things that came to us that were a product, I think, of us marketing and advertising our sales. We did something really unique, like we actually facilitated an auction for the Fort Bend County Museum down in Sugar Land. They were deaccessioning their artifacts and antique items, and what a cool way for us to be another outlet or an avenue for them to do that was through CT bids. So we really tried to push CT bids across um, both territories and making sure that people knew that, hey, why it's there and it's supporting the seniors in transition, but you can really find some cool stuff there. And so we really pushed that. And I will say our presentation has been always important in our photographing. We made sure that, if it's not really something I want to buy myself, I'm not going to photograph it and put it in an auction. So we tried to make sure that people, when they shopped with us, they felt good about their purchases. So I will tell you that we did a lot of targeting on Facebook to try to boost those sale prices and the consistency. And I think that's where you're seeing this boosted average sale price because we started implementing the ads on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I'm just letting people know, hey, we exist. Look how cool of all the items we sell, and you making sure our presentation was really well received. And I would go to a lot of the auction pickups, and Cheri knows I talk about this all the time. But when new people come to me, even if I think I might have seen them before, I would say, hey, good to see you again, or is this your first time because you look familiar? I go, oh, well, if it is your first time, where did you come from? And they'll usually, the number one answer is I saw something on Facebook. I don't know where I saw it, but I saw it on Facebook. And I thought it was just really interesting. I really wanted to see how I could buy that item. So Facebook has been probably our forefront driver of bringing people into the CT bids world. And then they become loyal buyers. Let's see. Okay, so strategically bought a second territory with the partner. So what I can tell you here is that, we really focused on building Sugar Land. My intention was never to branch into a secondary market right in the beginning. I mean, that was really a little shocking, and I had a little fear of even doing that. But so our growth was to focus on Sugar Land first. But as we grew, we saw there was some potential value sitting over there, untapped value in Houston. Um, and then, as we consistently got Houston on board and we got the operations down, we got some of the employees, and we got it figured out, I guess is what I should say. We really felt very confident that it would be a good business decision to really be able to combine those two efforts together. And sometimes the best way to do that is to be able to own that territory completely. And that actually brought us into other growth things that we could do because you're not having to maybe get permission, or you're not having to Hmm, not say consult with the partner, but you can just do things that make sense for both business segments. So this is where if you want to know more, this is something that, I can kind of tell you how I approach some of our Facebook marketing campaigns. I do use Tracy Lewis. She does do our initial campaigns out there to our Fran Connect buyers. But in addition to the campaigns that she will put on Facebook, we will typically do our own organic list of items, the things that are coming up in the sales. We will boost those posts. I'll go over to TikTok occasionally, or I have in the past. I've been a little low on that because, as you see, we all thought TikTok was going to go away. So we pulled that back just a little bit, but I'm ready to kind of get back into that. But we do some boosts. We really try to make sure that if the page doesn't already follow other groups that I personally, as an owner, I mean, I am a member of every buy sell group I can probably find across Houston, across my local community, across my college alumni network. And I just make sure that, before a sale is about to end, somewhere in that, 3 to 4 days prior, or maybe the day of, that I'll do some extra sharing of the posts and just let people know, hey, a sale's closing tonight. Here's the day it's going to close. And sorry, y'all hear my thunder? It's very loud. Sorry.
I didn't hear
But it's very loud. It's kind of frightening, actually. Welcome to Houston weather. But so I really utilize that. I don't know if a lot of other owners do, but I don't have a problem with being visible on Facebook or social medias. But just, you have just a wide variety of people in those buy sell groups looking for something. They're probably already on Facebook Marketplace if they're a reseller. So they're already a member in those groups. And some of these groups can be like 50,000 people. So it's a one quick, fast way to market a sale. And if it catches one person and they become a loyal buyer across the next year or two, then it was totally worth it. So I do a lot of that personally. Doesn't mean that you couldn't have somebody on your team focus on your Facebook, or on these other particular, or on these other particular, platforms. I don't know everything. I don't, like I said, don't specialize in marketing. It's just what I believe is it was really consistent that I got people to become true bidders and stay with us, and we continue to offer great sales for them to look at. So based on what we have here, I think our buyer contact count is around 17.5, and it does seem to grow. I mean, some weeks it grows a lot, and other weeks, it's minimal, but we are consistently probably pushing out 2 to 3 auctions a week, if not 4. That's just based on, the needs of the community and what our clients are looking to do. And, we usually close our auctions probably Monday through Wednesday, do pickups Wednesday through Friday. Okay, so I think that's probably it about marketing.
Okay. Lisa Williams wants to know, I'm going to just feed this in before we get too far in. What are you spending on your marketing? And now what are you charging the client to do that?
So when I charge the client, I probably could charge more, but I actually, most every proposal I send out is about 150 for marketing. That covers ideally my expense for the campaign, the drip campaigns that Tracy's putting out for me per sale. And then I'm actually probably spending somewhere between $5 to $25 an auction on Facebook. Now, sometimes if I have 4 sales closing in 1 week, I might just target one of those sales and run that one longer, because I know if I got the people coming in to look at something in our, in our portal, they're going to see all the other sales. So every once in a while, I'll put more dollar amounts in one, and maybe not spend on maybe the less desirable sale. But I mean, no more than $20, $25. But that's all relative to what you want to charge the client.
Yeah, these were her numbers when I pulled her analytics from Facebook for all 3 years that she's been active. So, I mean, just in the 3 years, she's only spent $3,000 total just on Facebook. That's obviously not on Instagram or TikTok. I didn't pull those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, on TikTok, I probably spent, you can go way far on TikTok, about $5, $10 gets you a lot of views.
These 4 views that you guys are seeing right here, these are ads that had come from her TikTok page. So, I mean, they're pretty substantial when she was doing it. She's going to be kicking that back off, but you can see it. I mean, it's working. People are seeing it on TikTok.
they're seeing it there. And I think they're also seeing what I do before, what I try to do a couple days out. This is like my idle time at night when I'm maybe not in the office, and I'll create these stories where, you know, maybe someone's not really coming to my page. They're really not looking for the reel on TikTok. It's not popping up. But because they do follow Carrying Transitions of Sugarland in Houston, just a quick little story. It takes literally 2 or 3 minutes to actually do one. Um, I mean, I can show you guys how to do one if you ever want to do one. But just having that story content out there, I will always post it out to the Facebook page, and then I'll take it and share it out to my own personal contacts. But once again, I live within one of my territories. So, you know, I got a lot of friends that buy, and they probably never go to my Facebook page, but they'll see what I'm posting on stories. And then once you create the content on one platform, you just save it to your device and pop it over to your other platform. So you're not really having to duplicate efforts. You're just keeping the same media and just popping it across a couple platforms. But once again, I'm not a social media person. I got the minimum skills. So there's many other people out there that have, you know, extensive skills. Okay, so investing in people. This is probably focused on, you know, what keeps our team members engaged, wanting to work for me, wanting to be a part of the team. We do team lunches, we do holiday parties, um, we do some birthday happy hours, we do certain celebrations. The team lunches, I would say, you know, if we do a training meeting, I'm going to, of course, provide lunch. If we do an auction pickup and it's 110 degrees outside, I'm going to provide lunch because no one wants to have to, you know, cool off. We either we find different ways to really kind of keep our employees happy. A lot of them do bring their own lunches, but when we're working at auction pickup or we're doing a move, a senior move, I always provide lunch. I know it's a cost, but it's something that I do think that um, it keeps my employees motivated. Um, we now have an office, so we have a fridge, and we will keep snacks, and we will keep, you know, ice creams and things like that at our, you know, within our little kitchen area. And that's nice because if I have a team coming back in from a move and they're going to then go out and do a resettlement, or I've got people that just don't have time. We live in Houston. It's not convenient to always get around and go through a drive-through. So we always have something here that if somebody needs a snack, they can grab it, throw it in their bag, and get to the next job site. We use Connect Teams. We do some shout outs. We do a little trivia. And then we'll do, you know, gift certificates and recognition to reward the staff at some of these happy hours. So we'll ask questions about, you know, what they thought the highest, you know, highest grossing auction was, or, you know, how many items did we sell in a particular auction. So these are just some pictures from, I guess, one of our team trainings we did. We've gotten a little bit big, so before our office, we actually would do our last team meeting we did at senior living.
You'll
And
see a
then,
picture with Joel in that pretty
yeah,
soon.
Joel's in one of our pictures. And then we do some local events. We just recently did a bingo night. When I took the ladies, we bought 2 tables for Meals on Wheels for our seniors. Oh, there's Joel with our group having a training meeting. We actually sponsored the Sugarland Lions Club casino trip. I'm an actual member of the Sugarland Lions Club, so myself and a few of the members of the team, we made it a day that if you didn't have to go to a job site that day, and if you're available, there was a seat on the bus for you. So we actually took a team out to Louisiana, and we actually sponsored it with another senior living facility and with the Sugarland Lions Club. Okay, so building a scalable business. So in spring of 2024 was an opportunity for my husband, Dean, who's been a 25 plus year human resources professional, to finally leave corporate America. That was kind of one of it was one of my possibilities when we opened the business, that perhaps one day he would want to join forces, and actually maybe if I grew it to a certain level, that he would actually find value in wanting to leave his career. So it worked hand in hand that in spring of 2024, that opportunity came to us and he was able to join us full time. He supports us in a human resources role. He actually does auction pickups. He helps process. He helps oversee the moves. He actually will drive the truck on some of the moves. So whatever task is available, his job varies throughout the week, but he is very hands-on. In May of 2024, this is all prior to us buying our Houston partner out. We actually did decide it was time to purchase a van for us to utilize on moves and job sites, meaning taking supplies at the beginning of the job sites. I had a lot of employees that were taking supplies. They were getting a little tired of loading the supplies in their cars. We're going to multiple job sites on a Monday morning, Tuesday morning. There just seemed to be a need to have this van. We were renting vans previous to that, so we partnered with our local enterprise truck rental, and I would just order vans, cargo vans. Um, Super convenient at the end of a process when you know you've got to load up your shipping and get it out of the home, take care of some donation runs. It was just getting difficult to every day I was booking a van. So I just felt like it was time, and I researched vans and figured out which ones I wanted, which one I wanted, and we made the bold move to purchase one. Then in 2024 November, right at the same time our purchase was final for Houston Metro, it was time to move forward in a combined effort to find some office space so we could continue to do our warehouse sales, which previous to that we were just doing them out of storage units. And that's when I would have a client that we would move to senior living. There'd be a few items that mm, didn't really require full auction. And I would have 2 or 3 clients in those same situations, along with some forfeited items, items that didn't get picked up, possibly items that didn't, shipping quotes or invoices didn't get paid. So we would go ahead and create these warehouse auctions. And we would just do them from the local Cube Smart. But we found that our Cube Smart was starting to be a little more restrictive on how much space we were taking up in some of their hallways. And anyway, it just seemed like, we're at a moment we can offer these sales and we need a centralized location. So we found an awesome space in Stafford, Texas, which is about 10 minutes outside of Sugar Land and about 15 minutes outside of Houston Metro. And that actually put us real close to Highway 59 that feeds into both those territories. And we're like in a warehouse district where we actually we have office space, and then we also have a bay, which just allows us to, bring items in temporarily to house. And that's where we run our shipping. And that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm in my office here. We had a pickup this afternoon that we can do some of these pickups from our offices as well. Because every once in a while we'll work with a client that for whatever reason they need to make a move. They've got great stuff, but their HOA doesn't allow a pickup, or their condominium or their penthouse doesn't allow any non-authorized personnel on site. So we've been able to really implement the warehouse for that. And then we've been doing some of our picker sales here as well. So when buyers come, they show up and they're able to, while they wait for their item to be brought to them, they can go ahead and spend some extra money with us. Let's see, we also do utilize Shipping Saints. So that is what we have 2 full-time gentlemen that work with me, and they are every day getting our shipping orders out. And then in with that, we purchase all of our items from Uline. I don't know if you guys use Uline or are familiar with that, but we don't ship in any of our U-Haul boxes. We don't ship in any of the secondhand boxes from Amazon. Everything we ship is properly packed in a shipping box that's actually been purchased. It's the first time we use it. So we do that, and just our return on our Shipping Saint volume actually helps cover some of those administrative costs. Oh, and the other thing too on that, let me just mention, every once in a while we'll go into a property where we'll have, it's a pretty, like there might be a lot of stuff going on in an auction, in a particular auction. The warehouse has allowed us to break off portions of that auction that we know that we can get out of the home sooner and we can meet a deadline faster. And we just pull items like maybe the vintage clothing, the vintage jewelry, the coins, items that really could be processed at your dining room table at home. Well, I can process them here at the office. And so that has allowed us to have some of these very unique type sales. And we've met the deadline at the home, but we actually feel that people do shop jewelry auctions when it is offered as a jewelry auction. So anyway, just something, as you're maybe considering, or when you get to that point in your business that it makes sense to get a warehouse, those are some things that we've actually had some great positive experiences with, offering those type of sales and then having these picker sales. And I think just the idea that all of a sudden our buyers have a place that they can identify who Carrying Transitions of Houston Metro and Sugar Land is. They know that they can come here. It's just having, they can find me by day maybe. So, okay. So connections to contracts. Here are some things that, I've done. When I've gone to some of these networking events, if I see that there are realtors in the room, it's always a good way to network. Sotheby's is one of the higher end realtor firms in Houston. And I find they'll actually come out to some of the senior living. And, it just depends on the market. But when I find that a realtor has taken the time to come to a senior living event or work within the as a senior industry professional, I actually take time for them. I've also attended, Houston events and Sugarland events. Doesn't mean that we just don't have as many in Sugarland on a daily basis or on a weekly basis as we do in Houston. Let's see. In our case, our BDR does more of a marketing role for us, and she will make sure that we have presence at events within the communities. And if they need assistance or maybe they don't have a budget, we've actually come in and we've done beer tasting events. We've done wine tasting events. These are usually at independent living communities where they just don't have the budget for that. We'll drop off desserts. We'll ask like what the needs are at a community if they'd like us to help sponsor something. Sometimes they want just items for staff appreciation. We've done that. We've actually gone out to some of the realtor brokerage houses and we've done presentations there. Tessa, our BDR, she'll get everything ready for an event and then she'll get the lunch figured out, she'll coordinate everything, and then I come in for a presentation, and then we mix and mingle, give cards out, just really make sure that that those realtors understand what services we have to offer. I've done presentations at some local churches, specifically one I did on death and dying. It was a death and dying seminar with other related industry professionals on what the end of life can look like. Not only planning your funeral and planning your service and planning everything within the religious sector, but also what that means is being prepared, making sure your family's prepared, making sure your documents are prepared. I've done a Greater Houston United Way seminar, as well as I've been on a panel for an estate attorney. So those are just some things that I personally stay active with. If my BDR can't do some of that, she is great for just getting everything set up. And then I kind of come in and do the actual presentation. But it has been nice to utilize her to develop some of those relationships. And then I come in and take it to the next step. So, and then we recently just joined the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce. We didn't do that 3 years ago when we opened. I don't know. We just got busy. We focused on our business. It was just another expense. So now that we have become one office servicing 2 territories, we felt it was time to join one of the Chamber of Commerces. So we chose the Fort Bend Chamber. Let's see.
We got Brian Nielsen
Oh,
saying
yes.
17 stops in one day. How is she doing this?
I don't know. She's crazy. Well, I think she actually comes from a pharmaceutical sales background.
Oh,
So,
Karen Warner can speak to that.
so if you've ever been in that type of environment, that was her background. Now, she hasn't done that probably for a good 15 years or 20 years, but she is used to having that kind of type that type of, I guess,
Discipline.
timeline and constraints. So and she doesn't even live in my territory. She lives in a north part of Houston. But the beauty is that she sets up the appointments. She knows, she tells everybody, I'll be seeing you between this time, and then she makes a full circle. She'll come down and she starts early, and then she gives everybody just enough time to walk in, drop off what she's supposed to drop off. And she has done 17 stops in a day. It's bewildering, but she does it.
That's discipline, baby.
She's got discipline, yeah. Yeah. So I think looking forward, one thing I really want to do in May, probably our most immediate thing, as soon as I get my warehouse cleared out and I'm kind of back to having some office space, we are going to host a red ribbon cutting, celebrating our emergence as Houston Metro and Sugarland. And I'd like to invite some of the local community, not just, people maybe associated with the chamber, but people that have supported my business. I've got, you know, certain families at different senior living communities that I would like to have them come out, people that we've moved, um, our families of our employees. We just want people to understand who we are. And there are still, Houston's big, Sugarland's big. There's just a lot of people that still don't know what we do. So I'd like to do a red ribbon cutting and do it properly with the right marketing. And this will be something for our marketing team to kind of help me and guide me with like what that should look like. Um, Kate is building internal marketing team with Kate. So right now I use Tracy and she does a fantastic job. But then I'm actually the one I'm doing all the social media marketing myself. So this is my year that now that I've got, everything kind of combined under one type of platform, meaning like I don't have two Instagram accounts or I don't have two Facebook accounts anymore. Now I can really focus on having one of my employees who has a background in advertising. She can help me do some of this boosting of posts and things. And I think that will free me up to do some other things. But so I really want to help develop that in-house and maybe eventually take over our own campaigns. I'm not sure if we'll get that far this year because I really enjoy having Tracy do the work with me. But maybe that's something I can look forward to is starting to build that. And then exploring TikTok, creating some content. Really, now that it looks like TikTok's here to stay, getting back into what that could look like. Um, and that's kind of just on like the marketing and growth of the business. Of course, training, making sure my employees are properly trained. The presentation of our photos is still at the level we want it to be at. Um, and with that comes figuring out, do I need to continue selling items that are not bringing great value? Should I stop selling baskets, which, we took the baskets off the list of things we sell. Really focusing on what people are spending their money on. And then, of course, looking at ways to incentivize the team, profit sharing, bonus plans for the staff, performance bonuses, just making sure that my team is content with where we are. And if I'm growing, that means that hopefully I'm making some money and I can share that for all the efforts because they work very hard for me. And then, of course, being a mentor to others and supporting the emerging owners, which, I'm here.
She
And
did a
then, of
great
course,
job with Dershi, guys.
oh, this is Dershi. In case you guys don't know, if you know Dershi's down in Bernie, Texas. That's the hill country. If you know Texas, she's got it's Bernie, Fredericksburg, and Kerrville, Texas. That's her territory. And I personally brought her into the business as an owner, and has done an amazing job.
Yes.
Mhm.
So FYI also, guys, so we're going to be rolling out a mentor program, high level. And so Cheri is going to be one of those owners that is going to be on that mentor panel. So if any of you guys are interested, when that rolls out, you'll have the opportunity to work a little bit more closely with her, kind of like Dershie did.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this first and then you can talk.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Go for it.
Let me get it onto the right page. Why is it playing? Doesn't she just make that look so easy, guys?
Well, I'm sorry if the audio didn't go through. Just if you go to our Facebook page, and it's like the first video that pops up. So if you want to just watch it, it has a better effect when you hear the music.
Oh, were you guys? Oh, because I had it on my big. That's why.
Yeah, the music one
I'll
wouldn't.
email you guys all the link if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch. But yes, so we made a video. That was when Sugarland hit #1 in sales nationwide, and we grossed about a little bit over 200,000 for the month of what we reported in the month of May. And what was really significant for that, and which called for the video, was that we did that under one territory. That was one territory. We were so excited. That wasn't what we did in Houston that month. That was just what we accomplished in Sugarland. So there you go.
All right.
And
Well, I won't
then-
play this one since you guys can't hear the music on it, but I can send you guys out this other one too. She does a really great job of making reels and just putting them out there, you guys. So I'm sure some of you have heard me talk about getting a tripod, setting it up, putting a camera on it, let it record, just let it do all the work for you.
Well, and now you can use like all these cool things like having Snapper come and
Yeah.
that's why that's just me trying to like shoot some video and put it in iMovie. But now we've got some better opportunities to come up with some better, media. But we were just so excited. We just had to do something. So yeah, so we do a holiday team party. I invite the spouses. Um, that's kind of very big, important thing for me. Maybe because I came from a corporate background where, you really got to bring your spouse to see what you do. And I think that has always been like my key thing is that when it's holiday time, that is a time that you bring your significant other. If there is one, if there's someone in your life that's there alongside you. So, first year we did it just at the back of a Carrabba's restaurant because we had, I don't know, 12, 14 employees and then brought the spouses. So we filled up the back of that. The second year we did like the back room of another Italian restaurant. And our growth had, brought us to a larger base of employees plus spouses. And then this last year, we really celebrated big. We went to a venue here in town called the Smart Financial Center, where they actually run concerts. It's a theater, small theater size venue, and they have a lounge. It's called the Mercedes-Benz Sugarland, a lounge. And so we had a dinner, and it was just a nice time to re-energize, focus, give out awards, do white elephant gifts because they know throughout the year I wrap up stupid presents. And at our Christmas or our holiday event, they may find things that they've seen in auctions throughout the year. So it's just kind of a funny thing that we love to do. And so that's been kind of my personal thing I like to do for my employees.
So we got a couple of questions rolling through right now. Let me just kind of back up real quick.
Okay.
I want to make sure I got your staff count correct. You have 5 full-time and like 30 part-time, correct?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
And then Karen Warner wants to double check the $750 a day that you're charging your clients for each day your staff is there. Is
Yep.
that just for like sort, organize, shooting, or does that also include like the trash removal and donation? Are you separate for that?
So we typically do a little bit of a range. We tell our clients 6 to 750 a day. That is for us to go in. We're going to sort, organize. We'll put the bulk trash out. If that means it's available, we can do it then. I'll charge the extra for the dumpster, but yeah, we'll go throw it in the dumpster if we're already being paid to be there. But then instead of doing maybe a clean out charge within that 750, because at the end of the process, there's going to be maybe a few things left. Not many, but just a few things. So I will put in the proposal some sort of clean out charge on the back end that should maybe somewhere between $400 to $800 just to cover maybe another half day of labor. If I have to do anything extra like haul off or something like that.
And you're hauling off in your van now, correct?
Yeah, we'll haul that stuff off in the van. We'll pack and we'll just do a donation run at the end of the process. I mean, if we really have to come back, if I've got to take stuff that for any reason not enough for a dumpster and I've got to haul it off to a landfill, then we'll bring a truck in and we'll charge an appropriate, cost of the truck plus the landfill. But otherwise, our jobs, they just range just depending on how many days we break it down per day, per estimated labor per day. But that fluctuates, but that's how I can generally present what our services are to our clients.
I did mention in this chat that you had started out the gate, once you kind of had some staff in the beginning that first year and you kind of had some efficiencies and processes in place, you were charging 500. Do you want to just talk about how you came up with that number? I'm sure everybody's wondering how that
So,
came to be.
so if I looked at, I think it was when I first opened, I talked to a couple other owners, like, okay, what's your daily labor look like? What does that include? What is your client, what's your client actually able to go with? Will they hire me? And so when I broke it down and figured out that maybe my clients want to see a little bit of what that could look like. If you take a 6-hour day and you break it down to, let's see, 5 employees, 6 hours, that's 30 hours of labor a day. Okay, so 30 hours times whatever, $20 an hour. That's just like a weighted, because my goal was to get my labor covered. My goal was not to profit on the labor in these particular auction circumstances. In a perfect world, I'd love to make, $75 an hour to do the sort, organizing, clean, or sort, organizing, dispose, and produce the photos. But I'm not there yet, and I don't know if I'll ever be there. But in the meantime, if I think about 6 hours of labor times 5 team members, that's 30 hours a day times $20, that's 600. If I add a 6-person times 6 hours, that's 36 hours of labor a day times $20 kind of weighted, because most of my employees make 15 to 17. My managers make a little bit more, of course. Then I'm at 720, 36 hours of labor at a $20 figure per hour. That's $720. So at least I know if I'm charging that, I'm covering my labor. Now, my administrative, maybe not. Shipping Saint will cover my full-time shipping guys. And then, of course, I still have some other, administrative fees, but that's why I charge an auction management fee of like $175, because that's my auction manager cost per auction. And I charge $150 for marketing, and then I'll have some type of back end clean out potential. But here's the thing, I settle on actual. So if my costs run over and one day it's 900 and one day I only had 3 people available for some reason that had to work the job, when it all kind of averages out. But that's how I arrive at the numbers, I think, to be able to get the jobs. But
Seem pretty spot on in a sense of like when you estimate the days in your quote, are they pretty spot on about executing it?
I would say yes, because we've learned. We've learned to do better. We've just learned. We figured out most jobs are probably going to be about 4 days. Now, and it all varies with, if I have my heavy processors on a job, yeah, the job's going to get done a little faster. But ideally, if I have my manager or one of my operations managers also processing, it's going to get it done a lot faster, because they've been with me long enough and it works. We're pretty efficient. But in the beginning we weren't, in the beginning we're like, okay, everybody, how many lots did we get done? And I'm processing. I processed, probably my first year and a half. I was a heavy processor myself. I wanted to be sure it got done. And that's one thing I'm still very hands-on. I'll go process jewelry. I'll do some stuff also to make sure the process, in some circumstances, if we need help, I'll go out and process if we just some reason can't get it done. But we've gotten pretty good at, estimating how long we think we'll be in the home. But the client has signed that contract. They will pay if it goes over. And sometimes it does, but it's usually a situation where we get in there and we go, oh, we didn't know that grandma had a jewelry collection up in the top of the closet, and it's a lot. And it's really too many pieces to go in this particular auction. So we're just going to break off a second auction for that. Well, then the labor that's associated with the second auction, it gets pulled off and put with that auction. So, we've gone into some situations we thought there'd be 2 auctions, and by the time we processed through all the items, we were sitting at 4 auctions. That's happened to us before.
So Lisa asked that question a little while back when you were talking about how you're doing the jewelry and the clothing and some of those niche ones. So just to clarify, you are invoicing those clients 2 separate times, one for the big main house auction, and then the second time for whatever you take to the warehouse.
Right. Yeah.
And then I had one more question that I need to circle back, but where did it go? Oh, Carol wants to know, what are you dropping off, or what's Tessa dropping off when she goes and does her 17 stops in a day?
Yeah, it just depends if she is going, especially let's say at the holidays. She would make she would take some leftover baskets or, things that we've collected through all these auctions. She'd put maybe a nice cookie in there along with an ornament, maybe some type of holiday book, other kind of holiday decoration. Most of what she's delivering is something for them to either re-gift to their residents because they're having some event, like a bingo event or something, or she's bringing something. It's very specific. The one thing that we do not do that I know some offices love to do, they just love to take, mugs and fill them with candies and drop off. We don't do that. We know exactly what that facility or community is needing. And that just means, okay, it's staff appreciation. Okay, we're going to bring you a bundle and it's going to be Starbucks gift cards. We're going to bring you asked for 4 $50 gift cards, whatever it might be they asked for. But in the holidays, when she makes these kind of like mega stops, that is usually because she has packaged something as a thank you. And that's about the only time we do a big thank you. Like we'll even take it to our enterprise truck rental guys because they put us first on everything we need when it comes to truck rentals. So she'll make these kind of like charcuterie type, where there's snacks and there's fruits and something they would actually put out in their break room, or maybe at the front desk or wherever, the different staff members gather. She'll put, candies and snacks, something that they all can participate in and take. But it's usually pretty specific. If she's got she's very targeted. We don't do a lot of unnecessary spending. It's usually what's been requested.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Karen Warner wants to know, what's your sweet spot for how many lots you put up in an auction?
A sweet spot?
Why
I would say most of my auctions are over 200 lots. Rarely. I think I might have one on right now. I have to look. Rarely are we under 200. But I would think that most of our auctions, if someone's shopping and looking up something we're doing, I would say we are probably somewhere between about 250 to 275 is an average auction for us. I would say for us, it's rare to see something under 200, but it just depends on, what's in those homes. We just closed out a 400 lot auction just a couple weeks ago, and it was predominantly jewelry. It was jewelry, coins. Maybe it wasn't quite 400. It was like 380 or something like that. But
are you putting all those lots in one auction, or are you splitting it and running it concurrently?
Well, what we find, here's what we found. The higher the number, if we have, let's say 350 lots, I'm going to tell you that we already predict that it's because it's going to be a high shipping percentage. It's going to be a high percentage of shipping buyers. Like we have auctions and I can tell, you know what, these items are going to be shippable. And this is not going to be just based on how the behavior of a lot of our buyers. So like we just did a coin, jewelry, and it wasn't fashion. It was coin and jewelry mostly. It was part 2. We actually had jewelry and fashion. Then we did a coin and jewelry. 200 lots alone were shipping. So if we know it's going to be heavy, we don't mind because we know that people are looking to combine orders and they're going to ship. We wouldn't do probably an on-site. No, I don't know. What we'll do is we'll break it into 2 days. We'll do, if we go into a big house and we have a lot of furniture, all the big stuff. If we reach over 250 lots, we typically will break that into 2 auctions from the home with a 1-day pickup. So we'll close like on a Monday, do part 2 on a Tuesday, do a pickup on Thursday for part 1 and 2. Because it's not worth doing everything individually. We'll just do the pickup as one. but we will break the time that someone has to sit online and shop big items between, we'll do it 2 nights.
Like your everyday household items.
Yeah.
And then Brian Nielsen wants to know, are you doing a 60-40 split? Or are you still at the 35%
I do
commission mark?
60-40.
Woo! All right.
Yeah,
And
I
then
that
do
pretty
you have
early
a-
on.
Okay, you started that early on.
Yeah, I started that early on. Yeah.
Was it when I told you to start doing it? No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
I think so. I think so, Cheri. Yeah, I think it was. It was
And
you.
then Brian Nielsen. Oh no, I just asked that question. Carol wants to know if you have like a set donation list or a set list that you provide to your team of what not to sell or what to donate.
I don't have a per se list, but I would say right now what we do not put in auction, meaning like we pull it for pickers because we have been doing picker sales.
About how much you make on those things.
So our picker sales, a bad day, 250. Good days, 400, 800, 1100. Just depends on what we pull. Depends on how big that house was. But we no longer put any type of, well, I don't say any type, it depends. If it's brand new in a package or it looks like the guest room was never, the bedding was never used, then we might, and it's Ralph Lauren or something high end. But ideally, we've putting anything that's related to pillows, towels, any type of linens, that goes straight to pickers. Unless, like I said, it's brand new in a package. Baskets are kind of a pain in my butt right now. Unless it's Longaberger, we don't touch baskets. I don't even try to deal with baskets. No vases, like any of those floral vases. We cut those out a long time ago. And honestly, I think I'm about to cut out glassware. When I say glassware, I don't care what's in the bartenders or I don't care about the little low balls and high balls anymore. Unless it's vintage, it's the whole lot will sell for $2. I don't know, people just, they don't care. It's not, if it's not vintage and it's not mid-century, my glassware doesn't sell that great. So I think we're about to take that one off the list of what we process. And I'll just sell it in pickers. I can sell a set of 8 glasses for probably $12 in pickers, but I can't get $12 in auction. It's not worth my time. So those are some things I know we're cutting out. I mean, otherwise, no, I'd have to look back to see, but I think we're about to do an overhaul of some things that we put in auction. But
I know you're trying to focus on getting your average lot value up right
I need
now.
to get my average lot value up for sure. And those items are bringing me down.
Yeah, they are. They absolutely are.
Yeah.
And you're making more money on the picker side, so you might as well just
And our picker side, yeah, as long as it's allowed. I mean, because our buyers are happy. When they show up, they're so happy. They want to spend money. And we take credit cards, we take Venmo, we take whatever they need. So they're just, and then they're all signing up for early times because they want to shop. They want to get there and see what's going on. But they also know that sometimes we really do have a time constraint, and they might find something that we typically would put in a normal auction. They know that if they show up early, they might just get lucky. Yeah. And then those will be items that we do try to price. If we think it could have gone to auction, we will try to price it.
Okay. Karen Warner kind of asked that question too. What is the highest price of your item in your picker sale? Or how is it that you're pricing that sort of stuff? Is it like fill a bag, fill a box?
No, we've never done that. I've never done that. But if it's, I would say the highest price things, if I did a collection, if let's say I had some brand new Pottery Barn towels and they didn't go to auction for some reason, then we would have bundled them and probably put them for, 15, $20. I mean, people will spend it if it's nice. If it's a nice designer label or something, they'll spend it. And if I have something that's borderline, it really should have gone to auction or we found it last minute, and I feel like if I can't get $40 for it in the picker sale, then I'll take it back and stick it in a warehouse auction and give the client money. If it's something that I can box up and take back to the office. We had that happen. We had one, we just had a recent picker sale, and we found last minute doing something in the garage, we found this box of vintage Christmas, German vintage mugs with cookie jar. And we looked it up. We're thinking, you know what? If we put this in auction, we should have at least been able to get $40. So we, we put $40 on it. And guess what? It sold at Pickers.
Are you
So
promoting your picker sale on CT Bids? Like, are you shooting some pictures and putting it up there as like an offsite item?
no, we haven't. I think we did one time when we knew we were gonna have a really, really big picker sale. Because this was last year before we had the warehouse, but we knew we had a time crunch and it was a really big home. And we just put in the little provenance large picker sale on site. And I think we did that one other time. We put a listing as a, as a publishing, a little listing that just said, we will have a picker site, we will have a picker sale on site. Please bring cash. But, they didn't really have to bring cash, but we did have one. So no, we don't do any other advertising for it. Maybe we should.
You
But-
should.
Yeah.
And then open it up to the bidders that aren't winning any lots. Have you always done picker sales? Lisa Williams wants to know that.
No. In the beginning, we were all it went to auction. Well, we just didn't know how to do it. We're like, well, by the time I pay someone else to stand there just to run the pickers, we're doing good just to get the orders out the door and to our clients, right? When they show up. So we didn't do pickers probably for our first 6 months. It just wasn't part of my plan, I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want anything to be sitting there that didn't go to auction. Plus, I think for me, I wanted to test the market. I wanted to see what are people buying in the auction and what are they not buying? Because, I don't know. I had to find the buyers first. So found the buyers, then I figured out what their habits were. Well, they're not buying, shoes or whatever, they're not buying this. And so I realized, what, I think maybe we'll go ahead and try it now. But I'm not going to spend a lot of labor. I don't want to spend a lot of labor. So I have one of my ladies that comes out and then we thought, well, we have to price. If we're going to do it at all, we're going to do it right. We're going to make sure there's pricing on everything. And then we realized we don't have time for that. You just make a pile and then you bring it to the lady or the gentleman, because we have David that does it also. And then at that moment, we give you a price, and if you like it, you buy it. So yeah, that's kind of how our picker sales have evolved.
All right, I'm going to ask this last question, and then Karen Warner says, this is great. It's informative. After she met you last week, she wants to come visit you and see you. So she'll probably be reaching out for that pretty soon. But Carol Bruno also wants to know if you can leave us with any great tips for taking pictures.
Oh, tips for taking pictures. Okay, so I would get, if you haven't already, get some sort of, we use these, make sure you have some good lighting. Okay. So I would make sure, you don't have shadows and that your color is representative of what you're shooting. Make sure that if you're shooting something that's blue, it's going to show up blue. I don't like to see clutter in my backgrounds. I want it to look like it was taken in a studio. Now, we sometimes do a great job of that and sometimes we don't. But I will say one of the number one comments I get as why people love to shop our auctions is because things are nicely presented and it's about presentation. And I can make the ugliest, oldest thing look great if I have the right lighting and just the right style. So one, I make sure that all my first photos are in landscape. I make sure the lighting is good. And like that picture has to be marketable, right? I don't shoot lots unless it's something from the garage. It never gets shot on the floor. It doesn't even get shot on the countertop. It always gets shot on a black or a white background, and that's it. Now if it's like obviously a coffee table, I never shoot, if well, I say never, but I'll say never, then you'll find my auction and we did it differently. But typically the first thing we shoot a dining room table, we take the rug from underneath and shoot that first. Then we shoot the dining table without the rug. We always make sure that nothing in our photos is misleading. But I think lighting is probably your biggest thing. And just presentation. You don't stack things in front of each other. Make sure you can really see. what you're looking at, and that way they know what they're getting. So yeah, I think lighting is probably the key. I wouldn't worry about light boxes and all that. I would just make sure your photo's very representative of what you're selling. And that you do mark, hey, yeah, if you have any chips, all the basics. But I do think that people shop our auctions because they like how consistent the pictures are, and they're pretty simple. We keep it simple. So
Simple, stupid, everybody. All right. Well, Cheri, this was so awesome. You did a great job. I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure everybody else does too. There was lots of really great questions in there. But thank you. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you going forward in 2025 and hitting all your goals and, just expanding the way you want to expand. So,
well, thanks for having me, and good luck to everybody that's on this call. I know it's a journey, and we haven't been doing it too long, but we've gotten where we are, and if we can do it, we know you can do it. So it's not impossible.
absolutely.
Right?
Does anybody want to stick around for just 2 minutes and hear this song that Brandon Doyle and I, and actually Cheri Blankenship all kind of chimed in together to create? It's pretty good, you guys. I promise you don't want to just stick around for 2 seconds. I promise you won't regret it. Here we go, you guys.
Well, we can't hear it. Hold on. Where is it?
Wait, now you still can't hear it? Did you say you still can't hear it,
I
Cheri?
couldn't hear it.
Okay, hold on.
I'm gonna turn my audio
Let
off.
me share I'm gonna share my screen because that's probably what it is. I'm not in the share screen mode.
Not half bad, tossed in a brooch, shaped like a bee. Suddenly, it's a stay chic mystery. A plate with a chip, no clue what it's worth. So I gave it a friend to boost up its girth. A cup, a saucer, a napkin ring too. Now it looks fancy. When value's unclear, just put on a grin. Add one more thing and call it a win. Forget what it's worth, just go with the flow. When you don't know, make it grow. Don't know. A vase with no label, I gave it a glance. Then Google Lens, put it in France. On eBay, I found it, a rare little gem. Turns out it's vintage from way back when. So now when I'm stumped, I don't feel defeat. I open some apps and search for the truth. With just a quick scan, the facts start to show. When you don't know, make it grow. Curate, create, let stories unfold. Treasure's not always silver or gold. There's magic and mystery flair in the show when you don't know.
My God, you guys, I just can't.
Oh my God, it's the best.
Like, I just cannot. It just literally makes me giggle every time. All right, guys. So that's why you want to collaborate with your coaches because, just bring stuff out of you guys. Anyhow, I'm going to share that with you all so you guys can have it. Let your teams listen to it. Try not to let them get bogged down with that whole lotting process. It's not that hard. It's really not.
Thank you, Cheri. It was amazing.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week for those of you that I'll see. Bye, guys.
You too.
All right, bye, guys. Happy weekend.
Bye.